Stand up, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, it's surely a nice evening. Levi, I want to thank you for being here, for being a videographer, might be the word, I believe. So thank you for being here tonight. Also, just a reminder as we go through our mission and that mission statement, if I have it in front of me, which I don't seem to tonight. But be mindful of it. I don't have it off memory. Sorry about that. I should. All right. We need a motion then to approve the agenda. I don't believe there's been any changes.
Nope.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thanks, Tom. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Todd. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I don't believe we have any hearing or delegations. So we'll move into the consent items, which you all should have received with your packet on Friday. And Tom, you got to go through the invoices?
Went through them this morning. All looks good and it should be approved.
Okay. All right. Any other questions do we have with the consent items? Okay. Hearing none, when you're ready, we just need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Thank you, Andrea. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Thanks, Gloria. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Joe, down to the superintendent's report.
Summer sports recap. Our high school softball team ended their regular season with a 9-16 overall record, 5-9 in the North Central Conference. They have won their first two rounds of the postseason tournament, and they play Mount Vernon tomorrow night in Cedar Falls. So it was originally scheduled to be in Mount Vernon, which was 211 miles one way. So good deal that it's in Cedar Falls instead. But so our girls will play for a chance to go to the state tournament tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Baseball team ended up with a 12-16 record and 7-7 in the North Central Conference. They played their first round tournament this past Friday at ADM. Lost a close game. Just couldn't get that big hit when they needed to. We had one senior softball girl and I think 3 senior baseball guys. So a lot of kids coming back as well. Staffing wise, we've filled all of our teaching positions. Some of those will be some recommendations that we have later on in the meeting. We still have a number of teacher associate positions that are available. If you remember last year, we were in a similar position. We held a job fair the first week in August, and it's something that we will probably have to do again this year. School registration, we're moving online to a complete online registration format this year. Excited about that. It will be through our student information system, Infinite Campus. Families will can still come into central administration and register online in our building, and we'll still have the one night registration on August 9th from 4 to 7 p.m. Last thing, we have finalized our board retreat for August 10th from 5 to 7. Some topics that we had, our reorganization, kind of where we're at with the Laverne reorganization and the September vote that we have coming up. Future school schedules, those are some ideas that I've shared with you before. The example, 4-day student week, just some stuff for us to explore. Mrs. Eischen is going to share some of our final assessment data from this spring. I think it's always good for us to look at some future facility planning, and then school safety we'll also add to our agenda. And if there's anything else that you guys would like on that agenda, let me know, and we'll make that part of the day as well.
Any questions for Joe or any discussion?
On school safety, I don't know if it'd be possible even to have like Bo Miller or somebody come
Sure.
briefly. I know there's been some interest from guys just with the school shootings. I think it's just something that we need to be prepared as a board to answer because people will be concerned about it.
Yeah, and I think We have a lot of things in place. You mentioned locked doors earlier. All of our doors are locked in all of our buildings all day long. Out at this facility, they enter from 2 locations, both that are camera and buzzed in. Everything at the elementary is buzzed in. All of our staff has been through ALICE training, which will renew with our police force again this fall. We have an emergency procedure plan for the district and for each building, which is a state requirement, and which will also be renewed again this fall. So we have a lot of stuff in place. You remember last year, last winter, we approved the Vercata camera system, which has facial recognition to it. Most schools who are working hard to upgrade school safety, that's the system they're putting in this summer, the one that we purchased last winter. So I think we have a lot of good things in place. But you're right, I think a good discussion about what we have.
And like we talked about last time a little bit, just the coordination with the police department and the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yep.
be on the same page.
Yeah, and they may not be available to come, or maybe it's not good. I'd just be interested in hearing it. You remember a couple of years ago, I don't even know, it's probably half a new board, but they had that Safest Schools in America. Remember there was a
Yep.
community group?
Yeah.
I don't think you were superintendent
Yep,
yet.
my first
I
year.
would say, I think you were just started.
Yep,
It
they
was.
gave that proposal.
Whatever happened to that? They just weren't able to raise the funds?
Funding, I think, yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Our first one is to approve the KRHC nursing agreement.
The Cassuth Regional Health Clinic, they provide our nursing services at the schools. It's an agreement we've had for a number of years. The agreement has a person physically present in our schools at all times, and it's for 7 hours a day when we are in session, and some additional times for registration, school functions, for a total of 1,500 hours. It's the same agreement that we've had. The contracted amount is the same that we've had for the 3rd year in a row of $96,153. The agreement as is has worked well for us in the past. I have concerns over that increasing very much, and it hasn't. So I think at its state right now, I would certainly recommend the approval of the nursing contract for next school year.
As a parent, they've done a nice job.
Yeah. The staff that they have that work for us work really hard for us. There's no doubt about it.
Motion to approve the contract for the nursing agreement for $96,153.
Thank you, Jay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Andrew. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will abstain. I'm not sure if I have to, but
Abstain.
I'm an employee there, so.
All right.
Abstain.
Did you get that, Mary? Or Lisa? All right. Middle school, high school girls wrestling.
Late last winter, the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union sanctioned girls wrestling in the state of Iowa. We have had club girls wrestling in Algona for 3 years, 3 consecutive winners. So we've had a strong interest. We had a number of girls who wrestled throughout the season, wrestled in the state tournament, and we even have younger girls who are wrestling in middle school and elementary as well. So as a district, we would like to recommend adopting girls wrestling as an official sport that is offered at the Algona Community School District. As part of that proposal, we would like to recommend a high school head coach at the same salary base, which is 15% of the extra duty base, $5,252, one high school assistant at 11%, and one middle school coach. We thought a lot about it. The way we've handled club wrestling the last 3 years is we shared a lot of coaches. And we were able to do that because when our high school wrestling team would go to Iowa Falls to wrestle, boys and girls would go, and they wrestled from that. That is not how we believe the schedule will be moving forward. Our boys wrestling will go one night, girls might go another night. So in sharing, someone would always be left out in that format. So to make sure that we have coaches for our boys, we have coaches for our girls in practice and at competitions, we really need the three coaches to do that.
Do you feel we're able to fill those three positions? Is there interest there that you're aware of?
Yeah, you know, we had a number of volunteer wrestling
Yep.
coaches, some in-house. I think some of those people would be interested. I think some of the people in the community who have kind of jump-started girls wrestling may also be interested in getting their authorization. So we do think, and we've had some initial interest that if this would happen, some people would be interested in that.
Any further discussion? Okay, Ben, hearing that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the girls wrestling coaches as outlined.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Brent. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We also have to, in that motion, have the sport approved as official sport at the community schools.
Yeah, the motion, I think, should be recommend the addition of middle school and high school girls wrestling, and the
The
three
addition of
additional,
coaches
yes.
to those programs.
Yep.
Yes, sorry about that. Yep, on the backside.
I would recommend the addition of both middle school and high school girls wrestling and the addition of 3 coaches for these programs.
All right. Brent,
I will second.
Okay, thank you for the adding that. All right. All in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Out-of-state leadership trip.
This is a trip that Coach Jacobson has taken the senior football players on. It's a leadership trip to Lanesboro, Minnesota. They leave in the afternoon of August 4th and return the night of August 5th. What we are doing today is just approving the out-of-state trip. So I recommend the leadership retreat out of state.
I have a motion to approve leadership retreat out of state.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're looking at some increase in the sub-teacher associate rates.
Last July at this meeting, we looked at sub-teacher associate rates for the first time in 5 years, and we did increase those last year, and we knew that we would likely need to revisit again because they hadn't been explored in some time. I would recommend to raise the teacher associate sub rate from $10 an hour to $10.40 for next year. That 4% would be representative of what we did for all of our staff this past year.
Motion to increase the sub rate for teacher associate.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I hope we can still get some even at that rate.
Yeah.
But any increases
Yeah.
help.
I might vote nay and say it's way too low.
Yeah, it really is yet. So, all right, all in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We're going to look at the sub-teacher rate pay.
The sub-teacher rate, we also explored this last year. When I looked at it last year, we were low. You know, if you did a comparison of regional schools, we were below those. We increased it to $115 a day, which got us to at least probably the lowest level of regional schools. I would recommend increasing our sub-teacher rate to $125 for next year. That moves us about to the middle of the pack. There's some that are a little higher, but I think that's an appropriate level. Our substitutes are incredibly valuable to us, and we have some really, really good ones that we're thankful for, and I think $125 a day is a good rate to increase that to for next year.
I'm not asking this because I'm concerned about the cost, but raising that $10, what is that? What kind of a total dollar increase?
Yeah, you know, I don't have that number, Todd. It's a good question. I could get that for you and let
I
you
mean,
guys
I
know.
was just curious.
Well, on a day, average day, what, there's 6 subs in the district?
Uh,
I'd say way more than
10?
Really?
So it's $100 a day
You
times
consider all buildings?
160 days, so $16,000.
Yep, that's probably accurate.
Yeah, $10. Yeah. Any other discussion?
I make a motion to approve the substitute teacher rate at $125 per day commencing fiscal year 2023.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
What can we do to incentivize our teachers to be here?
Well, we,
The cost it's costing us,
Yeah.
their contract and the sub. Used to
Well, they,
be-
yeah,
you had to be
they get
very-
the cash in their sick days to a point, right? Each year?
Yep, we've done two things in the last 2 years. One was they can carry over or cash out personal days. The other is we're incentivizing sick days. So they can turn in 12 sick days for a personal day. So I think we've done some things to try to steer in that direction that you're talking about, Jay.
I know it's always been a goal of ours to somehow be able to do that.
You know, and I would venture, you know, I know when I taught here, the district is so good about letting teachers go to conferences and doing things to improve their instructional practices in the classroom. And I mean, that stuff's invaluable, and unfortunately, it takes place during the school year.
Yeah. It's something that, it's a really good point, Todd, that is, the AEAs, for example, they know how tremendously difficult it is to get subs now. And, you know, for us to take 6 special ed teachers, for example, to a training, we can't do that. We can't take 6 special ed teachers out of the district in one day. So they're starting to do some things to help us with that, whether it's Zoom or summer, which that's not great either because you're pulling from something else, but they're aware it's a problem. Professional development, going to professional development is an issue right now because of the lack of subs throughout the entire state.
All right, we'll move on to the next one, to appoint legal counsel.
I would recommend appointing Steve Avery as our legal counsel again for the 22-23 school year. Appointing our legal counsel is something that's done annually. Mr. Avery has been the district legal counsel for some time. He's been very helpful in some things that we've worked in. We do also use Ehlers and Cooney. They are representing us in the reorganization, for example, with Laverne. So we do have different options for different topics, really is what it is. But I would recommend Steve Avery as our legal counsel for next school year.
Do we have to pay a base, or
No.
is it just hourly?
It's hourly.
We use it?
Yep.
Is he with Laverne also?
Steve is not with Laverne. Laverne uses Ehlers and Cooney as their representative. So in the reorganization, we have different attorneys.
A motion to approve Steve Avery as our legal counsel?
I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the 2022-23 bank depository resolution.
This is another annual resolution. I've written the resolution in green. It's also on the, it's linked in the agenda. But what we are doing, this resolution authorizes the district to deposit funds in the amount to not exceed the maximum of $5 million at Iowa State Bank, to not exceed $5 million at Farmers State Bank, to not exceed $5 million at Northwest, and then $15 million at UMB in Des Moines, which is where our bonds are held. Is that right, Lisa, for the last refinance?
A motion to approve bank depository resolution as previously outlined.
Do we have a second? Do we have to read the whole green?
You just did.
Oh.
Gotcha, sorry.
All right, do we have a second? I heard the motion.
Do you want me to read it?
No.
Okay. That's outlined, 5,000, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 15 million.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, John. We have a motion and a second now. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor
Do
say
you
aye.
want to do a roll call? Usually resolutions are roll call.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Go right, please.
Okay, I'll start with Owen then.
Aye.
Mawaji,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Limbaugh,
Yes.
Is it Bartelt or Bartlett? Bartelt. Bartelt. Lindsay. Yes. Yes. And I got it.
Okay.
Not that I thought anybody would be different, but
No, I thank you, appreciate that. All right, we're kind of getting into a point where we're having a lot we'll have a lot of approvals and move through, I think, with the handbooks and stuff. But we'll start with approve the elementary handbooks.
I did put the 4 elementary handbooks together, the preschool parent, the preschool staff, the elementary parent, the elementary staff handbooks together. There are no changes in any of those 4 handbooks.
I make a motion to approve all of those 4 handbooks.
Thank you, Andrew. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Thanks, Dave. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the middle school handbook.
Changes in the middle school handbook, the first would be to open enrollment, as deadlines for open enrollment no longer exist, so that is one change. The second, updated the student and parent sign-off page, and the third, the middle school schedule to accurately reflect their 8-period day. And then there will be continuing to update coaches and sponsors as those positions are filled if there's any that aren't.
I make a motion to approve the middle school handbook.
Thank you, Andrew. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Tom. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Get to start appointing some of our coordinators.
Yep.
First would be the equity coordinator.
And these are all, we will go through all these individually because we have to recommend individual people. But I will start by saying all of these appointees are the same as last school year. The equity coordinator, it's an annual appointment. I would recommend James Rodert as the equity coordinator. It is the same position he has held the previous year.
So moved.
Thanks, Jay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The level 1 child abuse investigator.
I have previously held the position of the level 1 child abuse investigator. I would recommend myself for this appointment for, again, this school year.
Motion to approve Joe Carter as a level 1 child abuse investigator.
Thanks, Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gloria. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries it. The level 2 child abuse investigator.
I talked with Chief Miller. The Algona Police Department is once again willing to be the level 2 child abuse investigator for the Algona Community School District for the 22-23 school year.
I make a motion to approve the Avalon Police Department as the level 2 child abuse investigator.
Thanks, Andrea. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Great. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Harassment investigator.
Another annual appointment. I recommend myself for the harassment investigator, another position and appointment that I have held previously.
Motion to approve Joe Carter as harassment investigator.
Thanks, Brent. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Judy. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Appoint the 504 ADA coordinator.
For the 504 and 88 coordinator, I would recommend myself as well as the building principals, Jared Cecil, James Rodert, Jill Schucher, and Brad Sudol for this appointment. There's district ADA issues that I would handle. There's also certainly 504 issues in the buildings that the principal should handle at their level.
Make a motion to approve Joe Carter, Jared Cecil, James Roder, Jill Sucher, Brad Sudol as the
Nicely
Title
done.
488 coordinators.
Nicely done, Todd. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Andrea. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Affirmative action coordinator.
Again, an annual appointment, I'd recommend myself for the affirmative action coordinator for the 22-23 school year.
Motion to approve Joe Carter as affirmative action coordinator.
Thanks, Brett. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Andrea. We have a motion and a second. All in,
Gloria.
Gloria, sorry. Yes, I looked that way and did say that. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You're at the homeless coordinator.
I would recommend Jill Schucher as the homeless coordinator for the 22-23 school year. This is a position Mrs. Schucher has held in the past. It is one that also requires special training that she goes through to do that for the district.
Motion to
Thanks, Jay. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
All right, thanks, Tom. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for kind of working through those. Our next thing is to approve some fundraising requests.
A board policy does require that all fundraising that involves our students is approved by myself or a designee. That happens with the activities director and building principals, unless it's thought that it will generate more than $2,500. So these are approvals that we would need, and these are ongoing fundraisers that typically take place. The football value card, the middle school band, chocolate bars, Bertha Godfrey cookie dough sales, Bryant Elementary catalog sales, middle school club's choice fundraiser, the middle school color run, which is coming back this year. Then our FFA fruit cheese, FFA pancake, and FFA plant sale. So we can approve those fundraisers as one.
I make a motion to approve all fundraisers that Joe mentioned.
Thanks, Andrea. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Todd. I'm always amazed by how much you can make on candy
Yeah,
bars.
it's awesome.
Whatever, but it's great. We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approved Time Clock Plus.
Yeah, Time Clock Plus is an electronic time clock system that would be used by all hourly employees, but it would also be used by all employees for all leave requests. The program that we currently use is part of Vista, but Vista doesn't actually support the program anymore. It's not very acclimated, and there's only 2 districts in the state left that actually use their system. They would recommend you integrate to a different one as well. Time Clock Plus is something Lisa's used in the past. It will provide a more systematic way for us with our hourly people, more accurate way with our leave request, and for all of our payroll for hourly employees. They can log in at a computer. They can also log in with their phones, staying inside a circle that shows that they're here. So I think this would be a good addition for us. There is an upfront cost of $26,300 for Time Clock Plus. This is a non-instructional cost that we would pay for with PEPL Save dollars.
Is there like a yearly subscription after that, or is it kind of one time?
No, there is, yes. Yeah.
Estimated annual is 14,000?
Yeah, it goes by the number of people you have in it. And I use substitutes too, so.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, we need a motion then to approve the Time Clock Plus.
If we didn't use this, I mean, let's use that.
We'd continue with the old system that the company doesn't support anymore.
What's the cost of that system?
Well, it's in our Vista software program, so
Which we did last month.
Yeah.
I wasn't here, I don't remember.
yeah, it's a per pupil amount for that as well. I think we have, there is some additional expense with this, although I think it improves our accuracy in what we're doing with the system.
Probably the time that it takes to do it all too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just an example, like the one we have, if you have people that do multiple things, and then let's say they have overtime or a leave in there too, and that it makes like, for one day, you might have 6 entries. When you move it to the payroll, it doesn't even accept that many. So then I was just afraid I'm gonna not pay people because I don't know that they're there if they're not coming over. And I think Mary Beth just knew.
Sure.
Because the system is outdated, moving it from the system to payroll, there's a lot of manual work that takes place. We have probably 150 hourly employees, so certainly a lot of labor, a lot of work into the system that really just isn't effective anymore.
I'll make a motion to approve the Time Clock Plus.
Thanks, Andrea. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Todd. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You all should have a copy of the audit in front of you, but
Yep.
we need to approve that.
So there's the audit. This audit we just received. They had to file for an extension. We were supposed to have that by March. There's a lot to that. I'm going to give you a summarized version of that. In this audit, there are no instances of noncompliance. There are some internal control deficiencies that I'm going to talk about. Many of these we have in all of our audits, and I'll explain that. The first is the segregation of duties. They noted that the district did not properly segregate payroll and journal entries. Some of that's people. You know, we don't have the number of people to segregate those duties. Some other findings in our certified budget that ended the FY21, we exceeded the certified budget amounts in specific areas, instructional expenses. And if you remember, we did amend our budget. We just didn't amend it enough, and we went over. So it's just really an accounting error on our part. We provide responses to these. You know, our response is that we did amend the budget. It was not enough. We'll continue to amend the budget when we are going to exceed expenses for the certified budget. It was noted during our audit that we were assessed a finance fee for a credit card statement. What happened there is we had a late fee, and then so that is when you use tax dollars to pay a fee, you know, that's an issue. So, you know, just making sure everything's paid on a timely manner is our response to that. Certified enrollment, there were some variances in our BEDS data and the Iowa Department of Ed. We typically have an audit in our certified enrollment every year. In this case, it was 0.98 students for the fall of 2020 and 0.22 ELL students. There's some weighting there. That's why those aren't whole counts. So really a good year in the audit of our certified enrollment. And the last is that we had some accounts in the negative. Our school lunch nutrition, we have individual people who have negative accounts, and that happens every year. We work hard to with those people to zero those out, and I think in some cases we make progress, but in some cases those kids are out of school too, you know, and it's really tough to recover those dollars. But that will always be in an audit if you have those negative accounts.
I know that's what we talk about every year. How much of it will be considered like bad debt? Like, you know, it's one thing if kids are still here and they're $50 in the hole. It's another thing if they graduated 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So is the majority of this like for 50-50 or any idea?
Yeah, probably 50-50, I guess. You know, some of it's certainly current debt. That hasn't went up much in the last year because all lunch was free. Although you'd still be surprised that it's still, you know, we still had families with a la carte and some other that had fees for that. But we are nervous about our nutrition and lunch accounts this year as we move back to paid lunches, which that'll be the first time in almost 3 years that people have paid for the federal lunch program. So that'll be interesting to see how well that goes for us.
Any discussion or questions about the audit further?
So this is the 21 audit. When's the 22 one?
It's due by March 2023.
They will come.
They'll start coming in the fall, yeah, right?
Anywhere from August to October, they'll
Yeah.
be coming here.
Okay.
Because our 22 books just closed 2 weeks ago, and they actually don't close until we do our certified annual report in the fall.
September 15th is
So
when that's due, so it's after that. Because I know you were talking about this was later than what we were hoping.
Yeah, much later.
Well, we went with a new.
Yep, we have a new auditor for this next
I
year.
think it's hard to find auditors, it seems like.
Very hard.
People, the firms don't want to do them
How many
anymore.
proposals did we send?
I sent 5, I got 2 responses. One was, keep me on the list, but didn't have room, and the other one is the one we got.
It's tough to find.
Lot to a school audit.
I make a motion to approve the audit.
Thanks, Andrew. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Todd. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open enrollment.
We have one open enrollment application. This is a student, an 8th grade student from North Union to Algona. And there are no deadlines, so this does meet all state requirements for approval.
Need a motion then for the open enrollment?
A motion to approve open enrollment?
Thank you. Brent, do we have a second?
Second motion?
Thanks, Tom. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Several new contracts.
Several new contracts. Steve Young for middle school football, Seth Schlinger, volunteer high school football pending the completion of his coaching authorization, Megan Hamilton for the football cheer portion of that contract, Billy Offerman, 9th grade football, Laura Severson as the Lucia Wallace secretary, Jackie Rogerson as the Lucia Wallace teacher associate, Shelley Terhark, high school PE for first semester, Kurt Kissinger, this is a 1-year only high school band in addition to his current 5/8 duties. Shelley Luwaji as the FCCLA leader, Dave Rich, 1 year only, high school, middle school band, .8 FTE, Brian Connick, middle school girls track, and Amber Limbaugh, volunteer high school volleyball.
A motion to approve the new contracts, and thank you to Kurt Kissinger especially and Dave Rich and Shelley Tierhart.
Yep,
for
we
helping us
have
out.
3 of our people really helping us out, and we've talked a lot about hiring, and it's difficult. It's really, really difficult in June and July, and we aren't going to take a step back with what our people are doing. They're going to keep our programs where they are, and very thankful for those people for stepping
And I
up.
would guess compensation-wise, there's really not a cost to the district by these people filling in, maybe even a savings by the time
Yeah,
if you were to hire them.
probably about close to what we were paying a teacher.
So,
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Randy. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstaining?
I'll abstain.
Thank you. All right, we also have resignations
We
to
have,
deal with.
we have 4 resignations. Travis Berkey from assistant softball coach, pending suitable replacement. Nick Liebel, high school band instructor. Laura Severson, teacher associate at Lucia Wallace. And Caden Wadley, strength and conditioning coordinator.
motion to approve resignations.
Thanks, Brent. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Todd. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resignations approved. Once again, thank you everyone for getting through that agenda. It was quite, I guess, lengthy with approvals, with motions. Now we need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thanks, Andrew. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Gloria. We are adjourned. Thank you again, Levi.
Shot help at all.